Well, I suppose it's time for an update on the hangar. Many of you have seen the first video I did several years ago when I had finished all of this side of the hangar. This side I didn't do because I had to, when I was doing this side, everything that I had to go somewhere to get out of the way, and it all went along this wall, and it just wasn't feasible to do it all at the same time. So 2 years later, after this, 4 years after I've moved in to the home and hangar, I finally have gotten to the west wall here. And it has really turned out well. Now let's talk a little bit about some details. Now I want to mention first off, this isn't done. I'm like 98%. There's just a few little things I've got to do. I've still got some organization that needs done. But for the most part, I'll call it finished. Now what I did, you notice I did some galvanized paneling. This is actually AG panel, 29 gauge. The finish is called Galvalume. And it's not galvanized, but it's kind of sort of like a galvanized, almost like a silver powder coat type finish. It's a really nice material. 29 gauge, plenty stiff enough for just a facade of skinning the wall. And it's 22 feet sidewalls. I did it because I did it myself, which was a challenge. I did have a helper on the last day. I finished up a couple of the panels up there, but this was all done by me, and it was rough. And because I was going to do it myself, I decided not to do full 22 foot long panels. Trying to wrestle those big pieces by myself was going to be difficult. So I put a seam at a girt line right there at the 12 foot mark. So there's 12 foot and then another 10 feet up to the top. So I bought some 12 foot panels and 10 foot panels and just did a seam there. And it's not that noticeable. In fact, on this side, I have these fabricated steel shelves that actually cover that seam line. So you don't even really notice it there. But all in all, the paneling took about a week to put up by myself. I went and bought a scissor lift just for this project. And actually, I was going to buy it, use it, and then sell it. But I have found such a use for that thing on other things in the hangar. I'm keeping it. Yeah, it took a couple weeks to get it up. One of the challenging parts, and I really didn't know how I wanted to do this, was these flange braces. They used to tie into the girt, and I've seen pictures of how people have done this. You kind of have to like cut slits and cut around it, and you have these seams, and because you can't cut a hole and stick the thing in there, because then you can't get tools in there to tighten it up, because it would be on the inside behind the paneling. So you end up having this seam, and it just kind of looked crappy. So I came up with this idea. I drew up these brackets in CAD, had them bent from 1/8 inch steel, and had them powder coated, and they bolt with big 3/8 Tech screws to the face of the girt, and then the flange brace externally bolts to that. And I think it ended up with a really, really cool, clean kind of architectural look, completely functional. Those flange braces are just there to keep this column from folding over under any type of compressive load. Same thing over here. I just ran those in a similar manner over there. Now, since we're here looking, let's talk about my steel shelving. So this is just 2x2 1/8 inch wall angle iron with expanded steel grate welded to it. Just fabricated these up. These are 10 feet by 2 feet. And they're just supported with architectural stainless steel type cabling. I had some leftover cable from the cable railings when I did this project. I thought that might be a pretty cool look. And there's turnbuckles at each end there to adjust. And then I had these little L brackets fabricated. I did all these brackets for the flange braces, and then these little hooks, I guess you'll call them, at send, cut, send. In fact, do I have one in here? Yeah. So I drew this up in CAD. This is stainless. And it's screwed to the face of the girt. And basically what it does, it's like a hook, kind of like a French cleat. It allows the angle iron on the wall edge to sit up on those hooks, and then the cables support it there. So I did some math, and those shelves are perfectly fine to carry 300 to 400 pounds equally distributed across each one. And I just use they're 12 feet high, so they're not very accessible. So what they're for is things that I don't get into very often. Stuff that I don't want to have it consuming space in the work area, get it up out of the way, use my vertical space. And I just wheel the scissor lift over if I need to get in there, or I could get a ladder if I wanted to. So that's what I ended up doing there. You'll notice I have drain pipe, 2 of them. These are for the gutters. I have internal gutters on this PEMB building. I'm not pleased with that particularly, but it is what it is. So I put my paneling, slipped my paneling behind there, and then I just painted them black. And then they take a turn and go out. They poke outside the building there. I had the floor polished like I did over on this side. And because it's been 2 years since this side was done, there's going to be a little bit of discoloration. I remember when this floor was first done, it looked this same color, more of a gray. And over time, it's kind of warmed up and it's matted out the finish a little bit. This will eventually slowly start to work itself into this color here. And I think over time, the difference will probably be not noticeable or very little. 800 grit is what they finished up to and burnished it. And you can see it's more of a matte here, and then it's more gloss there. That's just, as I use this, this is going to get knocked down to a matte finish. Now I could come in here with the buffer and burnisher and bring all this back up to a shine, but there's no point in that. This is a working hanger, and the matte finish is fine. The cabinets are the same cabinet system I did over on that wall from garagecabinets.com. I also put them in my garage, and I'm so impressed with this system. I decided to put these over here as well. So we got 10 feet worth of cabinets here. I went with their really tall ones, and I did a drawer stack on a couple of these. I'm still not done yet. I've got to put the drawer pulls on. I'm gonna make my own little mod here to these. These 2 shelves here, it's kind of deep, and I'm going to use it to store paint cans, spray paint cans. And it's just kind of hard to be reaching in here to try to find whatever color or whatever I want. I'm going to cut these shelves down so they clear the doors. And I'm going to put full extension runners on so that I can slide these 2 shelves out. And then I've got access to get what I want and slide them back in. So I've already started drawing up some parts on CAD. Again, I'm going to have to get some steel parts bent. I'll send that out to Send Cut Send as well. Send Cut Send has been great for stuff like this. Really great cabinet system. You do have to assemble them yourself, but they really go together quite well, and it's a good durable cabinet. If you may have, I mentioned it in my first hanger video, this finish that they do is really interesting. It's powder coat on the doors, but the doors are wood, and the way they powder coat them is with UV curing, because normal powder coat is heat, and of course heat would burn the doors if they're wood. So they cure them with UV. So I thought that was really interesting. So it is an actual powder coat finish, which is what helps make them very durable. I got a 10-foot, one of the Huskies, their biggest bench they have. It's the 10-footer. I went with the stainless top on this one versus the wood top that I have on some of the others, just because this wall is kind of more of that silver and gray look. Got my old, these are my old bins I had up at my old place. I never really had a good spot for them, and I finally have a great spot. A lot of this was drone hardware back when I had my drone business, so a lot of M3, M4 hardware, but you know what? It still comes in really handy. And for bigger stuff, I've got all my metric M5, M6, M8s, just odds and ends all through here. So if I ever need a bolt or a nut, I usually just come over to one of my bins and I've got what I need. Now, it might be a little difficult to see. You can spot it. I put a winch up there. Now, this is not for really heavy stuff. This building wasn't designed to have a winch. So I want to make sure I'm not really overdoing it. But 500 pounds, I lifted that whole airframe was 700 pounds just as a test, and it was fine. But I'm really not going to want to lift more than about 500 pounds. This is just for maybe dropping an engine in an airplane. Those only weigh a couple 100 pounds, or just whatever light duty stuff. And I've got a winch and then a chain hoist below that. The winch is too fast. It's one speed. It's on or off. And when you're trying to lift something slowly, you want control. So I put the chain hoist there. I get very fine control. And it's wireless control. So I've got my controller just on a magnet mount over here on the column. So I can turn it on. And run it up and down as I need. I changed my fans. I had smaller fans in here. They were 7-footers. I didn't like that. So these are 9 feet fans. And they definitely, that extra 2 feet really does make a difference in the airflow. I've got one here, and then I've got another one over there. It's off right now. Now, not part of this project, but I'll go ahead and mention just a couple things I've done over here since the last video. And don't mind the mess. I'm still in the final stages of cleaning up from this project. So a lot of stuff landed its way over here. I always wanted a little more light right here, especially when I've been working on my airplane project. And what I ended up doing was running two 16-foot LED linear lights that I just suspended from stainless steel cables from the purlins up there. And I got to tell you, that really, and I also added that light. So the light used to end right there, and I just didn't quite have the light I needed. Putting these and that in there, holy smokes, it's perfect. I've got all the light I need in here. And in fact, I'm thinking about running a third one, hanging it from that purlin. So there'd be another one right here just to kind of light up this space just a little bit more. Might do that. I don't know, maybe this fall or something. Usually when I say I'm going to do something this fall or next spring, it takes a couple years. So we'll see if it actually happens. Here's the wings to my S21 project I've been building. When I did my hangar video the last time, the first hangar video, I hadn't even got this kit yet. And so it's been a couple years. So the wings are done, painted. They're basically ready to install. And the airframe is just sitting outside here. It's 99% done. I've just got to do the cowling, windscreen, and a few other details, and then bolt all the pieces together. So I'm targeting the end of this year to have that thing complete. There's actually the horizontal stabilizer elevator up there. Rudder is sitting up there. So anyways, I just wanted to give an update and show the west wall finally being finished.